What's up guys, welcome to the GC journey. Having finished building my GC for now, because when are we ever done building our cars? I've realized a lot of the mistakes that I've made along the way, and this journey has taught me many lessons. So in this video, I've decided to share 5 lessons that I've learned, what you can expect when going into a build like this, and what I would have done differently if I had to do it all over again. So starting with lesson number 1, it's gonna cost more than you think. Whatever upgrades you have on your list, whatever labor you've calculated, there's so many little bolts and gaskets and adapters that you just haven't taken into account because you don't even know that you need them yet. Some of these parts you only realize you need when you reach certain stages of your build, and those of you who have done similar builds will know what I'm talking about. And there are also certain services that you haven't taken into account that you need. You might hit a certain obstacle and then realize that you need like a fabricator or someone to do a type of job that you don't yet have the skills to do yourself. So it adds up quick. Which brings me to lesson number 2, and that is that it's never going to go as smooth as you expect it to, and so you have to learn how to adjust as you go. There were a few surprises on the way that required us to find solutions in order to move forward. There was the turbo that didn't fit in the stock location, and so we had to decide, do we get a different bolt-on turbo or do we go rotated? There were the heads that we sent off to get built and then found out they were cracked, and so we had to decide, do we take the risk or do we source new ones? So a lot of things happened along the way, which if you go back and watch the build series, you will see that they required making decisions, making adjustments, and moving forward. Lesson number 3, it's gonna take time, so be patient. The time I thought the project would be done by and the time it took to actually complete the project in reality are two completely different things. Now, sometimes things got delayed because you order a part, it arrives, you find out it's the wrong part or it doesn't fit, and so a job that you could have knocked off that same day is now gonna be delayed 2-3 weeks while you're waiting for the new part to arrive. Other times, things got postponed because of the workshop. If you're gonna have professionals working on your car, they're probably gonna be working on other projects during that time. If they're busy, it's a good thing. That means that other people value their work. And my advice here is not to rush things, because you want the person working on your car to be fully concentrated and attentive to the work they're doing on your car. So lesson number 4 is consult with people who have done similar builds, but don't forget what you want to achieve. And I'll explain what I mean. On one hand, there are people who have already gone through the journey that you're about to go through, and they can help prevent a lot of the mistakes you're about to make and help eliminate a lot of the question marks that you might have along the way when it comes to parts that might suit your build and needs. The thing is, you have to remember what you want to achieve. If you look at my example, I wanted a car that would be very drivable on the street, and I can tell you now that the twin plate clutch I ended up with is a disaster for driving on the street. And so you need to know how to ask your questions accurately so that the answers you will get for the parts recommended for your build will suit all of your needs. Lesson number 5, it never ends. So set an end goal and checkpoints along the way. There's always going to be room for improvement. There are always going to be better parts. And the longer a project takes, the more you're going to find out that there are maybe new developments and maybe new parts that weren't available when you started your project, and now they are available. In my opinion, you need to understand in the beginning what you want to achieve, what your end goal is, and break it down into like stages and checkpoints. Just go with what you've decided. And once you reach a certain point, then you can always say, okay, I'm gonna enjoy this setup for a while, and I'll see what my next goal is or what my next checkpoint is. So that's what I can tell you that I've learned, and if I had to do this all over again, I can tell you that I would have done things differently. One thing I would have done better is probably done more research on the parts, which would have saved a lot of wasted money that went on parts that did not suit my needs. So that is one thing. Another thing I would have done differently is probably change the order of the stages of this build. So that's my take on the subject. That's what I think. That's what I feel I've learned. That's what I feel you can take away from this build, and what I feel I would have done differently. Now what I want to do is first of all extract a little bit more horsepower out of this current setup, because I know we can, so I don't see why not. We have a few handling modifications coming up, and gonna carry on tidying up the engine bay, getting it all nice and clean and black. Of course, when all that is done, we're going into body and paint. So still a lot more to come. Stay tuned. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.